Hello YouTube, and welcome back to W140 Restorations in part 8 of Project Iona. I was going to title this video Keeping It Cool because everything in part 8 is about the radiator and all the hoses in Project Iona. The original radiator cracked on me on the way back from Miami, and I saved the engine, pulled over, got her nice and cool, but I found out that I had a cracked radiator. So this video is everything about the radiator support, upper, lower hoses, the fan, the shroud, how to take it all apart from tip to tail, every nut and bolt, and all the way in between. So it's a rather long video, but it's completely comprehensive. So if you have a W140 of your own that has a cooling problem, if you need to change your radiator, this video is for you. From the radiator overflow hoses all the way to the upper and lower, the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle is what's in this video. It has been a while since I posted. It took a long time to take all this apart and put it back together, but I hope you all enjoy watching the video. And again, a very big thank you for all my subscribers, for everyone who's watched the videos, sent me very kind comments. I like responding to those. So if it's your first time watching, please enjoy, please subscribe, and let's get right into it. First things first, 10 mil. Get this cross member out. Onto the passenger side. Out. Okay. This plastic retaining pin up. So pull it out. Original to the car. I don't think these have ever been out. Alright. Seal it out. And then one on the front. Almost got it. Alright, out it comes. And pull out the passenger side one. Just goes straight up. And then out the back. Okay. Clip for the fan. That over there as well. You can see right here. Yeah. There it is. You can see in there where the crack is and the leak in the radiator. Behind this grill assembly with the external temperature sensor on it is access to the radiator drain. Really big flathead screwdriver and a few turns. There she comes. our hoses out of the way. When we pull the shroud and the radiator out. Turn that. Alright, out of the way they go. There it is. Finally loose. Still draining down there. Pull that out. Clean that up. This whole assembly is loose, so I don't want to mess with the AC. Cooler, which sits in front, or the lift for the hood, which sits on top. All right. Pretty loose. Let's see. That's probably a transmission cooler line. And that's another transmission cooler line. It looks like on the bottom, so I have to pull that line right there. Lower radiator hose, upper radiator hose, and then transmission cooler lines when the radiator finishes draining. You can still hear it, it's still going. Alright, we'll let that finish draining. We'll come back, pull off the hoses, pull off the shroud, pull off the fan belt, clean that up, or the fan, clean that up, and then pull the radiator out. So, alright. I'll be back. So one thing I'm very thankful for is how over-engineered W140s are. If you have to take the shroud off of, like, let's say an E430, it's a one-piece shroud. For the W140, nice little trick to counterclockwise the back half of the shroud to pull it away from the main shroud body, so you can actually pull the shroud out of the W140 while the radiator is in. Something that you will not find on other Mercedes models. Very, very lucky. A lot bigger engine compartments than on an E-Series. So that's very, very easy to do on a W140. Look at that, right out it comes, and then the back part out as well, going back together in one piece. But you will not find that if you're working on an E-Series. So we'll set both of those aside. Alright, glad to have my catch pan underneath there. Catch all the antifreeze. Old towel to catch the rest of it. And that's loose. Alright, next is going to be our return reservoir hose, which is another Phillips screw. And then once that's out of the way, we'll take our transmission cooler lines off and we will pull the old radiator out. then we'll assemble it. Alright, top one, 19 millimeter. Oh, that was loose. That's crazy. Here's the top one. It's loose. Watch out for the return line. Alright, 19 millimeter on bottom, and might have to go from the bottom on this one. The top one is finger tight. Okay, let's move on to the bottom. Really is no good way in. With the fan blade in the way. There it goes. Alright, now the bottom one's loose. And then moving to this gem right here. I believe that's 10 millimeter. Alright, cooler line is loose. Drop my screw. But that's loose, and I'll go ahead and undo those two. Move the coolant catch basin, and then start trying to catch some of that transmission fluid and pull this radiator out. Alright, looks like we're gonna have a mess, unfortunately, but gotta get these out. Top one. And the bottom one. Yep. And a lot of nice crimson automatic transmission fluid. Pull this thing out of here. Alright. Transmission top, transmission bottom, bottom, top. Alright, that should be it. Oh. Come on, baby, come loose. Nope, stay over there. All right. Little puke. Thank you. All right, she's out. Let's see what we got to deal with. Okay. Yep. You're gonna clean all this stuff out of here. Replace all these hoses, all these clips, and make sure we get all new cooling system ready to go for Iona. All right, let's go. All right, one of the next things I need to do is take out the fan blades for the water pump, making sure to remember the orientation for where they're on so they can pull air through the radiator. I've already taken the bolts out. There's 4 10mm headed bolts. I've already taken those out. So pulling the fan off, the reason I took the fan off and set it off to the side is because it's going to give us access to right down here. There is a hose, the lower radiator hose, and I have to be able to get to the clamp. And the way to get to the clamp easier is to take off that fan and clean it up a little bit. 7mm for the clamp. It's also a Phillips. All right, and there's our lower radiator hose, bottom clamp and top clamp, and we'll try to keep these in the same orientation for the new ones we got. These, yeah, those might be original to the car, I'm not for certain, but we did buy new ones, so we'll make sure to keep the clamps in the same orientation so they go on exactly the way they came off. All right, next is the water pump to thermostat, or thermostat to water pump hose. Since I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and replace this. Again, the Phillips on top. All right, there's the top hose clamp. Oh yeah, that's been in there for a long time. Let's see if the bottom one is loose. It's getting there. I don't think I can get my screwdriver in there. Not quite. A little more with the wrench and we'll get it out. Was that 15 degrees at a time? Maybe. I guess 30 degrees at a time. 6 point would be 60 degrees. 12 point would be 30. Almost loose. And I think that's the original one to the car as well. Yep, she's on there pretty good. If I can get a clean shot at it. There we go. Loosen her up a little bit that way. All right, here we go. We'll get her off of there and loose, and then we'll get this pipe put back on. It's one of the last hoses we need to do on Iona. Oh yeah, there's fused on there pretty well. Okay, what we have here in front of us is the majority of the hoses for the cooling system for a W140 for an S500. On our left, the small one is a coolant hose. Part number is 119-203-0282. I've got a Febby Bilstein brand new one. That's one we just took off. You can see it's curved. This one's the original one in the car, so got a new one of those. Next to that is the lower radiator hose. I'm sorry, upper radiator hose. Part number is 140-500-0875. Another Febby Bilstein replacement. Same. It's got this extra layer for under the radiator. So there's that one. That is the top radiator hose. Next to that, 140-501-2682. This is the expansion tank replacement hose. Got one of those. Next to that is the lower radiator hose, 140-500-0175. This is, again, OEM Febby Bilstein. It looks just like the original one. has the extra layer on it. And the top one is the expansion tank 2 hose, and it's 140 500 0672. And I got one of those as well. So there's the majority of the hoses, but what's really important for this part of Project Iona is going to be in this box, and that is the new radiator. This is a Molly Bear replacement radiator to match the one that came out of Iona. And you can see the difference between the one that's been in there for 20 plus years and the new one. So it's got the same alignment for the hoses, for the top mounts, for the transmission lines, top and bottom, transmission lines, top and bottom, then the expansion tank overflow, and then the bottom radiator hose, and the same thing here. So let me go ahead and grab the part number for it, and if I can't find the part number on the box, I'll go ahead and put it in the bottom. I know it's 140, I just don't have it on the tip of my tongue for what the part number is, but this is the replacement radiator, OEM Molly Bear, the radiator that's going in right now. So let's start working and putting all these things back in Iona. All right, let's see how cooperative she's gonna be. I put a little bit of the gold antifreeze, top and bottom. Hopefully she'll slide on a lot easier, this new one. And then the way the old one came out, it might be a little bit tricky to get in there. There's not a lot of room. All right, welcome back to day 2 of part 8 of Project Iona and the radiator and all the radiator hoses and hoses for the cooling system. Only through the use of movie magic did I get this hose in Iona. She was a bear to get in. The thermostat housing into so water pump into the fan, very, very difficult to get in there, but a few curse words off camera and a bunch of praying and squeezing, I finally got that in. So now is to put our hose clamps back on and to move into the rest of the cooling system. So let's go ahead and get our clamps on and get them set, and we'll move on to putting in the next set of hoses for Iona for the cooling system. So yeah, this one was not fun, I'll be honest. That tight clearance and having them in a 90-degree angle was not a chipper time trying to get them in. So hopefully I won't have that big a problem with the rest of the hoses for the lower radiator hose and the upper radiator hose. Get this started. Fingers crossed they go smooth compared to getting this one in. It was a challenge. All right, and the hardest hose to replace on Iona is done. We gotta put our hose on. Make sure it's in tighten. You gotta put the lower radiator hose on first, because if you don't put the lower radiator hose on first, this clamp is very, very hard to get to because of the fan. We'll put the fan on next. There's 4 10mm bolts that hold the fan on. This is a 7mm Mercedes Benz hose. Come on, baby, get on there. You know you want to. There it is. We'll tighten this down. All right, she's tight. Okay, next is going to be our fan. All right, let's put the fan back on. Make sure we get the first bolt lined up and on there. And then turn it 180 degrees and getting the second one lined up. There it is. All right. Cook them with the gas. Get the first two lined up, top and bottom, 180 degrees out, and then we can rotate it and get the third and fourth one in. Make sure they're lined up. You can put fans on backwards. This one is marked front and back when I took it off and washed it up. If you put them on backwards, they're not going to run as efficiently, and they're not going to pull air through the radiator. And if you have electric fans and you wire your electric fans wrong, you can actually push air through your radiator, which you don't want to do. You want to pull air through so they cool efficiently. So, getting our bolts in, come on. All right. Those hand tight. We're gonna take our extension off because I don't want to bash into anything else critical in here. Make sure we're on tight. One, two, three, and four, and the fan is done. On to our radiator overflow, which is over here. Should be able to see that. There we go. Grab our old one and our new one. Put our hoses on exactly as they came off. Then go ahead and reconnect this down in here. I'm guessing that hose is gonna fall off when I turn it 90 degrees and set this in here. Oh. All right, there is our overflow. Got our clamp set at the right height, and then tighten it down. Back to our 7mm. Loosen up just a little bit. Slide it up where she needs to go. Come on, baby. There we go. Just a little more. I feel like it's always on the back side of a hose clamp that doesn't want to go up. There we go. Squeak it on up and then tighten it down in place. All right, and there's our overflow hose. And look at that, our clamp amazingly stayed on. We'll leave it on there as well. And bottom radiator hose, overflow hose, 2 transmission lines. Next is putting our radiator in, and then we're gonna put the top radiator hose on. So let me go ahead and grab the radiator. And now for the radiator. I found the part number. It's 140 500 1403. So that's 140 500 1403. This is a Molly Bear radiator. That's what came out of Iona, so we're very, very gently, delicately going to cut packing straps off. I'm going to gently lower into Iona. Got the transmission cooler line for the upper and lower, the overflow and lower radiator hose, and on the other side, the upper radiator hose. But we're going to pick her up carefully. Hold on to her carefully. Get our cardboard out of the way. I already moved the latch cord, and she slides right down and rests right behind the other one. A little wiggle. She should slide right in. There. There's the passenger and the driver's side, and she is in. All right. Good deal. Okay. All right, off camera, I tightened up my banjo bolt here. So for the top transmission cooler line, I tightened up that banjo bolt and the banjo bolt on the bottom. We've already tightened up our return line for the overflow. On the top, I need to tighten up the bottom one for the return line, and then the bottom radiator hose as well. After that, we're going to move over to the driver's side, and we're going to do the upper radiator hose and get those two buttoned up. And then after that, it's going to be shroud and some other parts. So let's go ahead and try to get this lower one buttoned up from the bottom side. Alright, and she's tight. We'll check this one again. Alright, and that does it for the passenger side. That's in the right spot. Banjo bolts are tight. Overflow, and all right, on to driver's side for the upper radiator hose. All right, put our 7mm socket out of the way. Pull our cap off down there. Chuck it out of the way. All right, feed our lower radiator hose on, feed it through the clamp, and then put it onto our water jacket and start tightening all this stuff up. Let's go ahead and lose this extension. Don't need it for the upper one. All right, here's the top one. Let's hop underneath. And we'll get that bottom one. All right. Double check our placement. She looks good and she's tight. All right, on to the shroud. All right, back again. And I gotta tell you, you just gotta trust your gut sometimes. If things don't feel right, then they're not right. So I didn't realize these were in the old radiator, and they are what's only considered a nut that goes on the back side for the radiator to all mount together. It appears to be the same size, so if they get down in, oh, those don't feel like they want to go. They feel like they want to go long ways. The old radiator, they were sitting in sideways. That one does not want to fit. Oh, this one doesn't either. Not a problem. There we go. There's one in. Like I said, it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like there was enough catching on them, then it wanting to tighten up, and I knew something was wrong. There we go. All right, both of those in. Back to where we were. There's one. Get this one over here. Goes. Just didn't feel right. I'm glad I looked. Yep, there it goes. Yep, steel never goes into plastic. I knew something felt wrong. All right. Feel a lot more sturdy. There's that. There's that. Back to our gasket. That's nice. All right, the shroud. The shroud, very careful. Very slowly. Not touching anything aluminum. Past the banjo bolt. All right, 1, 2, top one's in. There it is. All right, lined up with the top, and she's locked and closed. All right. Oh, I did that to myself. Oh, I shouldn't have put the cross member on. That was last. Yep, I'm gonna take it back off, realign everything, and then put her on. Boo! All right, did that to myself. Here we go. All right, back with the cross member again. All right, everybody, I think this is the moment of truth. Double checking everything. Clamped. I found the lock to put back in for the second half of the shroud. There's a piece that holds this overflow tube it is broken. I'll have to try to find another one of those. It sets in here like that. The one on Betty's broken as well. Radiator hose clamped. It's in this locked position over there. Get the air tubes back in. Get the gasket back in. Oh, there was a clicking noise earlier. Part of the shroud broke when I was putting it in. That's what that snap noise was. I didn't realize until it fell all the way through that part of the shroud head broke right there. Clips, that's in, tube. All right, I have the correct antifreeze in Iona, as well as diluted with distilled water. So I think the last thing to do is to go ahead and start her and see what she does. She's been holding antifreeze mixed for about an hour, so let's go ahead and start her up and see what she does. So last thing I need to do is put the cross member back in, but I want to make sure that everything is running right before I put all that back together. I got way ahead of myself last time. No issues on the overflow tank. I got plenty of Mercedes correct antifreeze to put in as well with distilled water when that thermostat pops open. Let's go check the temperature. I doubt she's risen at all. No. She's still sitting at the bare minimum. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. Iona's starting to get a little bit warm, which is a good thing. Glad she's starting to come up the temperature. Reservoir's still holding. Haven't seen any leaks anywhere. I put the cross piece back in to give it stability for the brand new radiator. Haven't seen any drops anywhere. So let's go look at the temp. And she's holding right at 80, and she has an 80-degree thermostat in her, so happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and take a quick drive and see if she holds. So I had Iona out for about a half an hour driving around. It's 85 degrees outside today. You can see that right there from the temperature. She's a little bit over 80 degrees. Thermostat has opened up. She's drawn down from the overflow tank, which is nice, and no complaints there. Drives smooth, no issues with the transmission, with the shift. I'm double checking the fluids before I went out for a long drive. I did drive around the block, warmed her up a little bit just to make sure she had the right amount of transmission fluid in her. Yeah, transmissions can be persnickety. So, and we hop out of Iona. You can see she's still running smooth. You can see she drew down part of the overflow tank, and no leaks anywhere. So really happy with that. And I hope you all are happy with that as well. I got Iona all put back together. She's running nice and cool, staying at 80 degrees centigrade, which is about 175 degrees Fahrenheit. She's all back together, no leaks. I did have a mishap. I forgot to put one of the clamps on correctly, so make sure you go back and double check all of your work. It has been a labor of love. It took me days and days to take all this apart and to put it back together, but I'm very happy with the work. From the radiator core support and all the hoses and the clamps back in their original positions to make sure everything looks factory original. Happy with the work, happy with the outcome, and now back to driving Iona every day. I'm gonna leave you with a little bit of footage from my drive back from Miami. I went down on I-75 on Alligator Alley, but I came back on the Tamiami Trail. It's a beautiful drive if you ever get a chance to be in South Florida. It's a 2-lane straight highway that runs from Miami all the way over to Naples area. I was doing highway speeds all the way, and I want to share with a little bit of footage with you all from that trip. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for all my subscribers. I appreciate it. And we'll see you again on part 9 of Project Iona. Thanks everybody. Take care. Stay safe. Bye now.